Good evening, family. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It is Monday, October the 10th, 2022, and the time is 6:19 p.m. Yes, I have some breaking news. I'm so excited because you all know that I love talking about silver and gold. So let me ask you this question. Have you heard of House Resolution 9157? House Resolution 9157 was put forward by Republican Representative Alex Mooney from West Virginia, and it defines the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. Now, we already know about HR, or House Resolution 5404, which defined the dollar as a fixed weight in gold that was pushed forward under number 45. But here we go again with another bill being introduced, which lets us know, family, that this has already occurred. Now, I know I keep talking about us being on the gold standard, and it's because I know that it's already happening. Usually by the time you figure out what's going on, it has already been determined. So let's talk a little bit about House Resolution 9157. This resolution comes off the heels of House Resolution 5404. We already know that the United States Constitution, or the Constitution for our Republic of the United States, defines the dollar as a fixed weight in silver. So now we have a bill pushing forward the dollar as being defined as a fixed weight in gold. And this was just introduced actually last week here in October. I believe it was the 6th, 2022. So I'll read just a little bit about that article for you. It says Washington, D.C., America's currencies would regain stable footing for the first time in half of a century if a bill just introduced by the United States Representative Alex Mooney becomes a law. It's referred to as the Gold Standard Restoration Act. I love that word, restoration. We're restoring the republic, we're restoring our freedom, we're restoring our sovereignty, and we are restoring the gold standard. So referred to as the Gold Standard Restoration Act by sound money activists, HR 5197 calls for the repegging of the Federal Reserve note to gold in order to address the ongoing problem of inflation, runaway federal debt, and monetary system instability. So we can see that what's happening is they are preparing us for the announcement or for the return of the gold standard. I've been saying for a while they probably won't make that announcement in the emergency broadcast system announcement when that comes on, that we've returned to the gold standard, but they will announce other things has been going on and how the war against the deep state has been occurring as a covert military operation. But alongside of that is our nation and other countries returning to the gold standard. As you all know, on this channel, over 100 countries, which actually is 209 countries, agreed to return to the gold standard behind closed doors. They agreed to return to the gold standard and returning to gold as sound money, and they agreed to return to global peace. I'm waving at my grandbabies. They're looking at me through the window. They really want to come out here. Hey, babies. So, upon passage of HR 9157, the United States Treasury and the Federal Reserve will have 30 months to publicly disclose all gold holdings and gold transactions, after which time the Federal Reserve note dollar would be pegged to a fixed weight of gold at its then market price. So, like I said, they are preparing us. They want us to know this, but before they do this, they have to disclose it. And this was actually printed through an article on Money Metals at moneymetals.com. I will put that article in the description section of this channel. So, notice that they mentioned the Federal Reserve. The reason why they mentioned the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury is because, remember, was it 2020, I believe it was, number 45 actually took the duties of the Federal Reserve and put them under the umbrella of the United States Treasury Department. Why did he do this? He did this because the Federal Reserve is actually an unlawful corporation or corporate entity that has nothing to do with our government. It is not federal, it's not a part of our republic, and it has to be dismantled. So his way of us knowing or coming to understand and overstand that he was dismantling it was to take those duties that the Federal Reserve had and put them under the umbrella of the United States Treasury Department, which is the only department under our Constitution for our republic that is allowed to deal with monetary issues. Now, this is great information. It is exciting information, and it is something to it's a bill to inform us that we've already returned to the gold standard. Who was the country that was most instrumental in returning the whole world to the gold standard? I'll give you a second to guess. Which country? If you said it's the country known as the bear, then you are correct. Because as you recall, 46 put sanctions on the bear or Russia. And after they put sanctions on Russia, Russia clapped back by just saying, no big deal. We will leave the United States dollar, okay, the USD, and we will return to gold. And Russia actually led the BRICS nations and the entire world into leaving the USD and returning to gold. That was the plan all along. This was brilliant. Well, let me explain something to you that's very critical. It is important for the United States corporation and the deep state to make you all think that Russia or the bear is a very nefarious entity. I love you too, baby. It's important for them to program us and propagandize us through their media to make us think that the president over there, Vladimir Putin, is wicked and evil and that country is nefarious, because this country has been involved for many years in leading the world against the deep state and returning them to the gold standard. If you all are about somewhere around my age group, we're Generation X, you can remember the propaganda machine telling us that we had to run and hide because at any minute Russia could come and destroy our country and send nuclear war missiles in the dead of the night or early in the morning. You all remember that, right? In school, we had something that was called a drill, and during those drills they would sound alarms and sirens. When the school would sound the sirens, the students had to get up, jump up, fall in line, and either run underneath their desks and hide underneath their desks, or run into the closet, where the coats were in your own classroom, and hide. Get down and crunch down with your head over your arms over your head, and your head crunched down over your knees. Do you all remember that, Gen Xers? Or when the alarm sound, you had to line up and go out of your room into the hallway and down into the basement and hide. In your home, whenever you saw an airplane fly over your head, you lived in fear. As a child, I was terrified every time I heard an airplane, and I was terrified all the way up and through my adult years, because I was taught that at any minute a bomb from Russia could come and explode and annihilate the whole country. Also, people had something called fallout shelters. Fallout shelters was like a shelter that you had built on the side of your house that was kind of like a cellar that you could go down into. People had food, clothes, flashlights, batteries, all type of things, canned goods down there, because the fallout shelter was supposed to be used in the event that there was a nuclear war threat from Russia, so that you and your family members can run down there and be safe. Now, how some little shelter on the side of your house was going to protect you, or how hiding underneath a desk was going to protect you, or running inside a closet was going to protect you, I don't know how that was supposed to play out, but we really believed it back then. That's how deep and serious propaganda is. And then in world history, we learned about propaganda. We learned that Germany and Russia were the main countries that perpetuated propaganda, and that we needed to be afraid of them. And we need to be on alert and on standby and even join the military to fight against the nuclear war threat that Russia presented. Why is this important? Now, if you understand and understand what's going on in the world today with Russia leaving the gold standard and leading the entire nation into returning to gold, you will see that was the plot all along, to make us all afraid of Russia, because they knew the threat that Russia presented in terms of taking down the deep state. Now, you all, I have to go over this. I have to let you know something. There was this very important interview between Vladimir Putin and Oliver Stone, whereby information came out to let us know and realize and understand that Vladimir Putin is not the threat that we had been propagandized to believe that he is. Now look at his name, Vladimir Putin. Let me help you understand something or understand something. Vladimir Putin is connected to an ancient dynasty that goes back centuries. And you can tell that even if you don't study his history by looking at his name, Vladimir. The original Moors, the Russian dynasty, the ancient Russian dynasty is connected to the original Moors, who looks nothing like the Europeanized Russians that we see today. Actually, the original Russians were dark, blackamoors, very dark beings. Vladimir Putin is connected to that dynasty. It's not, now you know it's not about skin color, it's about bloodlines, and bloodlines that are leading or pulling together to lead the world in taking down the deep state. So Vladimir Putin is not the enemy that they try to make us think that he is. Now, mainstream media will make you think that he is somebody that you need to get rid of. Mainstream media, let me tell you about the mainstream media talking points, that he was a killer because he was a part of the KGB. But what they don't tell you is that Vladimir Putin left the KGB. Did you know that? The KGB is a secret agency that deals with intelligence, counterintelligence, foreign relations, things like that. It was established March 13, 1954, and it ended actually December the 3rd, 1991. But that March 13th date is very, very important. I love studying numbers and dates. March 13th is a very important date to Freemasons and secret society members, whether you're on the benevolent side or the nefarious side, because numbers are very important and they have meanings. Now, they will tell you that the number 13 is a nefarious, that is wicked, that you should be afraid of it. But the number 13, which looks like a B, which is actually an 8, right? You look at it really closely, deals with abundance and prosperity. So you will see both sides of Freemasons using things or doing things with the number 13. So the KGB was actually introduced or organized, this secret intelligence agency, March 13th, 1954. But when you look at over the years or over the centuries, the date of March 13th, you'll see a lot of things occurred, because March actually is a war month. March 13th is a very important time for them. Now, in our time period, let's just deal with recently what happened. March 13, 2020, we saw a lot of craziness happen. We saw Breonna Taylor being killed on March 13th. Did you all know that? Yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. So when you saw that happen, you know that there was something nefarious going on with that murder. You know that it was probably some type of sacrifice, it was some type of purpose behind it. Because this is how I knew something. First of all, I knew that March 13th was a critical time, but I also knew that something else was going on because the mainstream media picked up that story and ran with it for years. Then you had Until Freedom, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, all these organizations that are connected to and funded by George Soros taking over the planet, leading all these marches and riots for a specific purpose that had, I don't want to say nothing to do with her death, but more to do with, yes, her and George Floyd, but more to do with a nefarious agenda behind them. Then I saw the police get involved in their brotherhood, and different attorneys get involved, and Hollywood get involved with their marches, and Hollywood get involved and start integrating that act or that murder into their shows. So I was like, this is really weird to me. Okay. And then when you look at the gang that she was allegedly affiliated with, this drug dealing gang, it was called No Limits, which is the same name of a production corporate company of a very famous, rich entertainer who called Louisville, Kentucky his second home. That's neither here nor there. Also on March 13th, 2020, we saw that number 45 called a national emergency dealing with the CV, and we saw the whole world then shut down. That all occurred on March 13th. So March 13th is a critical date. The KGB was formed on March 13th, 1954, but it ended in 1991. Putin left it, but they don't tell you that he left the KGB, and he defined that, he said KGB was something he didn't want to be a part of, and then he defined communism as being a blind alley far away from the mainstream of civilization. He rejected communism, but they never talk about that. They never let you know that he was against communism and that he was against terrorism. Now, I'm going to go further into that by letting you know that he also was a patriot of old Russia. Remember, I said he has connections to ancient Russian dynasties. He was a patriot of old Russia, which was a melting pot of many ethnicities all coming together to celebrate being a part of the Russian country or the Russian Empire. So when you say he was a patriot of old Russia, which is a melting pot of many cultures, then you can see that the man did not believe in or support communism or separatism or the deep state. This is not what the mainstream media would make you know or make you think of this man. They want you to really believe this man is somebody evil and wicked. He was also somebody who supported peace with NATO. His entire leadership, he sought peace with NATO. NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization that is made up of 28 European nations and 2 North American nations. He just desired peace, but the mainstream media spun it as if he did not want peace or had nothing to do with NATO. In fact, this entity, NATO, was formed after World War II, so it was important for countries to want peace or seek peace with NATO, as Vladimir Putin did. Now, Clinton tried to persuade Vladimir Putin to join the United States in leaving the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty of 1972. But Putin really didn't want to leave the Anti-Ballistic Treaty or Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. He said, if we do leave it, because the United States said we need to leave it, they cited, was it Iraq? They cited Iran as an excuse for wanting to leave the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. What they said was Iran was a threat. that Iran would pose a threat and Iran would cause some type of military action, a military threat, if they didn't leave the anti-ballistic missile treaty. But Putin said, I don't want to leave the anti-ballistic missile treaty, but if I do, then I think we should form something so that we can all agree not to create missiles that will harm each other, or harm the world, or destroy the planet. But the United States had other plans. So Bush Jr. made a decision after 9/11 to leave the anti-ballistic missile treaty, and then he sent missile systems, developed and sent missile systems to surround the Russian border as a threat to Putin. So the mainstream media spun it to make us think that it was actually Russia that was threatening the United States, when it was the other way around. You know how they always tell us everything we learn, we've been taught, is actually in reverse. The reverse is actually what's true. So the mainstream media spun it as if Russia was the threat, when really the United States and the deep state was the threat. So in this interview, you come with, was it Oliver Stone? Who did I say it was? We come to see, yes, Oliver Stone, we come to see that actually Vladimir Putin was against the war on terror, and he was assisting the United States in battling the deep state and battling this whole war on terror. But the United States mainstream media and the Western mainstream media made everybody think that he was actually part of the war, or part of the entities that terrorized the whole world. So, as a matter of fact, the United States-based terrorists in Georgia attacked South, was it Ossetia, Ossetia? So when the United States-based terrorism group in Russia attacked South Ossetia, Russia moved in to defend the civilians. But the United States spun it as if Russia was the aggressor. Then later on, when the Crimeans voted to join Russia, the mainstream media propaganda machine spun it as if Russia had coerced them to join Russia. Then in 2012, there was an interference. The same interference we talk about in 2020, there was an interference there. The United States interfered there in Russia, but they don't tell you about that. They keep spinning this whole thing, Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia's interfering with us here, when really the deep state in the United States was interfering there. In 2014, the United States government perpetuated a coup d'etat in that country that starts with a U. The United States staged a coup d'etat. So you see what's going on over there. It seems like Russia is the aggressor. It seems like Russia is just causing problems. But in actuality, what they are doing is tearing down the deep state there and bringing back that territory underneath their country or their reign, which is how it was supposed to be. So family, the things that they tell us in the mainstream media are not necessarily true. So earlier this year, the United States government, the United States Corporation, or number 46, threatened to shut down something. You all know what it is. It's connected together. It's like, I can't say what it is, you know, where oil comes through and then your kitchen water goes through it. I can't say it because I might get censored. Number 46 threatened to shut that down in Russia if they went into that other country. But Russia is not to be bullied, because they had a plan long ago to work with the United States of America, our republic, our true government, and Xi of China to take down the deep state. Why did I bring this up about Vladimir Putin? I brought all this information up front to you today to help you understand and understand that he has always desired to take down the deep state. He has always been against communism. He has always been one that wanted to join the anti-ballistic treaty agreement to make sure that nobody nukes or annihilates the planet. So family, it is he and other entities that we call the white hats of the military and the NESARA white knights that are working together in unison to take down a deep state and bring us into our sovereignty and return our republics and return us to the gold standard. So I know that was a long way of just going around talking about us being part of these nations and these organizations and this agenda to return us back to using gold and silver as real money. It is happening. It has happened. So this bill that was just pushed forward by this representative out of West Virginia is critical. They are letting us know that it has already happened. So when I tell you that most or all of the exporting nations have rejected the United States dollar and returned to the gold standard, I am telling you that I have support. I have articles, I have announcements, I have videos to support my claims, to support my assertions, and I will put all of those for you in the description part of this video. I am so excited, family. If you don't have silver or gold, please go to your local coin company, the local coin shop, and get into real precious metals and take them into your personal possession. So the war is over. It's over. It's just a matter of time before you actually hear the information about the deep state being taken down. And it's a matter of time before you see the first arrest on TV and you hear about military tribunals. But in the meantime, please know that anything else that you hear on the news, all the shenanigans, all the stuff going on with the entertainers, they all serve to be a distraction so that they can do, the white hats can do what they've been doing all along, and that is returning us back to our sovereignty. So my name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope I've said something to raise your vibrations and to encourage you, to strengthen you, and inspire you to create the beautiful, magnificent, wonderful, glorious reality that you so wonderfully desire and deserve. Peace, family. Make this a great day. The war is almost over. Mwah.